So, branding. You've heard of this word many times, and I've actually had people, after I write a number of articles about branding, they are still inquisitive as to what exactly I mean. As I think that they think that branding, or rather, I think they think that branding is just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. And I had a question posed to me in a tongue-in-cheek manner after having wrote a brief two-sentence topic on a subject related to branding. Someone said to me, "Hey Vaughn, so what is branding? It sounds like you're just." I don't fully recall the words, but anyways, the person was trying to, I guess, discern in me the smoke and mirrors of branding, and I politely referenced him or pointed him to one of 10 articles I had written, and so that he can be more up to date on what branding is. And so I wanted to talk about it here, branding, exactly what it is. So when we move through the world, we are ourselves brands. We represent ourselves through our reputation, through the way that we carry ourselves, through the way that we communicate. Our whole engagement with the world is a sort of brand. It is what we refer to as the character of a person. Now, a specific character is not going to be amenable, or you would not think a specific character will do one thing if it is not within their character. For instance, let's look at an individual who has to head a large organization. We would expect this individual to carry themselves in a certain, with a certain posture, in a certain way. If we were to look at for instance, the presidency of a country, such as the United States, we have certain expectations as to temperament, how one should behave, and the character of that position and that person. And when we see a deviation from that, then that is certainly something of concern. And with companies as well. In fact, when we refer to branding, it's only in this day and time that we have started to refer to something called personal branding, which is you and I actually branding ourselves. So, although we've always done that, that's really what we mean by character. However, when we usually refer to branding, we are talking about companies. We're talking about organizations that produce goods and services and how they are perceived in the marketplace. The marketplace being the zeitgeist of you and I. So, our opinion of said company. And obviously, when we think of companies that are most in our lives, like Toyota, GM, Apple, Microsoft Windows, those names actually are brands. When we think of those names, when we refer to those names, there are a whole host of images and impressions that come to mind. And so let's dig deeper into branding, and let's dig deeper, but also keep it topical. So, in its simplest term, think of a brand like a face. It helps to differentiate one from the other. So let's say that there are 100 companies that provide pool cleaning services. You have a house and you have a pool in your house. There are 100 companies in your vicinity in the state that provide pool cleaning services. Well, one way that you've started to differentiate which one to work with is by the name. So ABC Pool Company as opposed to XYZ Pool Cleaning Company. And simply starting from that first point of differentiation, which is the name, we start to attribute qualities to each of those. So, for instance, if we call ABC Pool Company and they have a person who responds quickly on the phone, knows the answers to the questions that we have, and can easily set an appointment for the next day, we immediately attribute specific qualities to that. However, as we and on the other side, if we call XYZ pool company and they are not able to provide us with responses to our questions, we are going to apply certain attributes, certain qualities to that name. And here we begin to build a brand. We begin to build associations. And in the human realm, isn't that the case? We usually, and as is generally the case, we apply certain qualities to what we perceive as beautiful. And these are prejudged. We can call it prejudiced. So we immediately prejudge um, entities that we meet based on their appearance. Um, it, it's only through effort that we start to properly understand that there is affects and things that we do to create and to better and to get more quality and more value. Because when we in the human realm, when we immediately apply a positive quality to that which is beautiful and try to engage with it in that way, that's when we are usually surprised. But within companies, that's not the case. If a company applies a lot of effort on its branding, generally they care about their reputation. And that means that they are willing to work on their reputation and to maintain their reputation. What that means is that they are willing to engage and give good customer service and be good, honest businesses. But like a face allows us to attribute associations, allows us to attribute quality to that which we're looking at. When we look at a face, we can differentiate Sam from Toby. We can differentiate Sarah from Mara. And this is the same for a company. Think of it as a face. A brand is a face. And within the company realm, within the business realm, generally, we begin to work on our brand. Think of it as the same way that one works on their face through makeup or through cleaning and so forth, through daily health routines such as taking a shower. But we start to work on our brand, we start to work on our face to make it more appealing, or rather to keep it appealing. And the goal being to make it attractive to others, those that we engage. And branding with businesses, if we start to look at it and really simply understand it for what it is, the steps as to what we can do, the activities required, become self evident. Because if we are wanting to maintain a specific quality, then there are certain steps that we can take. If we are looking to improve the image of our brand, in the same way that we are looking to improve the image of our face, there is certain things that we can do. And those things are quite self-evident. Though with marketing and with the particular tools and options available within business, it requires sometimes specialized knowledge in order to firstly even understand one, where to go to access such abilities. For instance, how do I use Facebook marketing to increase the awareness of my product? How do I create impressions and imagery that helps my target market connect my product or services with a particular feeling? or a particular affectation. One way, one key way, one sometimes overlooked way also is through customer service. These are one of many things. Consistent visual representation, such as color schemes. When you build a logo for your product, the color schemes represented within the logo should also be consistent throughout every single point of contact with your prospective audience. And so that means the logo that you put on your product, the color scheme of your website, the color scheme of your uniforms, if that's the case, all of that should be consistent. But more tactical things, let's look at post-sale services. So for instance, let's look at a big company like Apple. Now, when you purchase a product from Apple, we have a great post-sale service there, and that you can call them for questions. You can call them if you have any issues with your product, and they will walk you through it. This is what we expect of a quality company. This is the brand that we've come to expect from Apple. This is the quality and the association that we've placed on the products that we buy. And consequently, this is why we pay such a high premium for Apple products. An Apple computer may cost $3,000. An equal computer from a different manufacturer may cost $1,000, $1,500. But why is it that we are willing to pay 100% more sometimes for a product? It's because, one, let's again refer to Apple. We know that Apple products will work. Apple products connect with each other. We simply expect it and know it to work. There is no trouble with using an Apple product. There's no trouble with driving a Tesla. There's no problem with a Toyota. A Toyota is going to last you years and years and years longer than any car out there. Pre-sale activities. So you start to see, if we are talking about branding, we are talking about the whole character of a product, the whole character of a service, the whole character of a company. And a character is the way that that entity, that person, that business behaves at every point of contact. So before sale, after sale, within the sales process. That should be clear enough. Now, let's look into some questions that make up your brand profile. How do you appear in the marketplace? Again, we can juxtapose this to a face. How does your face appear in when you're walking down the street? Do you have a cigarette? Do you have sunglasses? Do you have your hair done in one way? Do you have it bald? Do you have a cap? How do you appear? And what is the effect that you are going for when you are out there, when you are making changes or applying certain features to your brand profile? How do you appear to your customers? How does your business appear to your customers? So if you're walking down the street and you have certain people that you plan to meet, friends or business associates, you probably, let's say that you are walking from home, you're going from home to work. So in this case, we can call your customers. Your customers is the workplace, it's your colleagues. Now, if you are dressed just in your underwear, how do you appear to those people? Probably insane, right? And so when we think about our brand profile, how we are perceived, perhaps most importantly, we want to think about how we are perceived to our target market. So, in the case of the individual going from home to work, Obviously, you don't want to be dressed in simply your underwear because that has issues associated with it that would make continuous progress at work very difficult. How do you appear to those who are not your customers? Now, this is a question that sometimes you're dealing with at a certain level, at a smaller level. Sometimes that's where you're dealing with this particular question, but at other times, but if your business continues to grow and mature, there will come a point where this question becomes very, very important. For instance, again, if we look at Apple, Apple rarely applies discounts to their products. Rarely, rarely. You will not find a discount on an Apple product, and that's because they are trying to maintain a product positioning, a product perspective that communicates a premium consumer good. Now, also, if you look at certain luxury items, like for instance, certain luxury shoes, watches, clothes, you you'll note that the same T-shirt made of the same product, cotton, one brand will sell it for $500 and another brand will sell it for $10. Again, it's made of cotton, 100% cotton, the exact same thing. So, what is the perception here? Now, within this price point, there is a lot of activity, a lot of action happening, a lot of things are going on here that we can spend some time discerning and tearing apart to reach. But one of the things that's happening here is that this particular brand is trying to appeal to a certain customer base through a valuation, through association, and at the same time, through that price point, they are explicitly stating those who are not their customers. So a t-shirt that is $500 is explicitly not being targeted towards certain people because it's $500. A watch that costs $300 is explicitly not being targeted towards those who are perhaps looking for a functional or simply a functional watch. But there's a lot happening with this question here, and there's many ways to understand its value. However, when you're initially starting a business, this is not really a point of concern until you find it to be a point of concern, which that will become self-evident when that is the case. Another question here is, how do you see yourself? It's important to define and understand where you want to be, how you want to position your product or service. And with most growing businesses, this is a question that is all too often neglected. But this really comes down to planning. In planning a product or service that we want to sell in the marketplace, it's absolutely important to, within the plan, within the phase where we're thinking about who is our target market, it's absolutely important to know where we want to position our product, where we want to put our product within the scale of value for our customers. And so, how do you see yourself? This is perhaps the first question and the most important question. And it starts at the planning phase.